So, you're wondering if you should get the Steam Deck in 2025. Or maybe you just want to validate your choice that you've already made, owning one of these handheld equivalents or the Steam Deck itself. That's okay. I think this video is going to help you out anyway, because chances are, by clicking on this video, you already have a curiosity or interest towards portable gaming, like I do. But the question is, should you follow those feelings through and spend the money towards the Steam Deck this year? I'll give you the answer right now. Yes. That's what I would normally say, but I think this year's different. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the introduction with the guy. The Steam Deck is a handheld gaming device from Valve that allows users to play games that they have already purchased from Steam, their digital distribution platform. Steam has been around since 2003, expanding to distribution of third-party games in 2005. Fast forward to the present day, you're scarce to find anyone who doesn't use Steam in some capacity as a PC gamer. It was only until 2022 that we would get the Steam Deck. So in short, if you buy the Steam Deck, you've literally opened yourself up to like one of the largest game libraries. Now, I have the Steam Deck OLED, which launched in November 2023. It's pretty big, especially if you compare it to any Nintendo Switch model. Please don't ask why I have so many Nintendo Switch models. A lot of the bulk comes from the ergonomic grip. Personally, I can sacrifice a bit of the form factor in favor of some comfort. It's good. You have 2 analog sticks, a D-pad, your ABXY buttons, a menu, an options button, a Steam button, another button for additional info, 2 trackpads, and 4 back buttons. It's a lot. It's a lot of buttons. Combine all of this with Steam's interface on the Steam Deck, and you really got this console-like experience, which I think they did a solid job on. So that's one of the good things about the Steam Deck, delivering an experience that is pretty much close to booting up a game console and just going straight to whatever game you want to play. Accessing Steam from any standard PC or laptop isn't bad though. I just generally think that the faster it is to start up a game, the better. What I appreciate even more are games that have the verified Steam Deck support. Basically means that you can run a game on Steam Deck just fine without having to just go into their little options and just doing some micro adjustments to make it optimal. The process makes sense because everyone's PC is different, but you know, all the Steam Decks are running relatively the same. Another good thing about the Steam Deck is that you can actually download your games natively directly into the internal storage or micro SD card. No need to do any remote play and deal with any input delay or fuzzy visuals. You can play your games while you're away from home, on a train, on a plane, in your hotel room, at your friend's place, just wherever. And that feature alone just sells me on handheld gaming. Though I will say you will need to have some workaround if you plan on playing games that use online services when you're just out and about. I think another good thing about the Steam Deck is that it has internal storage that's easily accessible, easily swappable, and that's important because sometimes you want to just load up so many games as like at once they can have access to, which also makes, you know, the 255 gig LED and the 512 gigabyte like OLED models easily something I could recommend to people because you can get better storage like later down the line at a better price. And I would definitely wait, especially since you are putting in a lot of money just for the handheld up front. I got another plus for the Steam Deck, and that is the mouse and keyboard support. Though I wouldn't recommend using the Steam Deck as, you know, your portable work PC. We have laptops for a reason, but you can connect a mouse and keyboard and do stuff like just go through a Google Doc or check your email. I don't know what the scene's like as far as photo and video editing. I am kind of curious about that, actually. The main appeal is to be able to use it for games that are heavy with mouse and keyboard support, like an FPS or an RTS or MMOs. I'm not really knowledgeable about that kind of stuff, so I mean, it's still cool, but at that price, I wouldn't recommend making that the priority when choosing the Steam Deck, which is where we will get to talk about some of the not-so-swell things about the Steam Deck. So let's talk about the price. Let me be clear, the 256 gigabyte LED model is $399, which is actually pretty solid. It's not bad. I will say, however, with this OLED that I have, it really does make the difference for me. It's just the games look so good with that display, but that base model for it is $549. It makes it more expensive than the base model Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. If portable gaming is what you want at that point, you might actually just want to get the Nintendo Switch, and you know, if you wait, you might get something else, which we'll talk about later. Let's talk about battery life though. The battery life on the Steam Deck is a bit different between the original and the OLED, but they're both relatively short, so you're usually better off plugging in the handheld after a gaming session. And depending on the game that you're actually playing, you may actually have to plug it while you're doing your game session. That's unfortunately the downside of the growing market that is handheld gaming. The more intensive these games are, they're gonna just consume your battery. There is hope for like battery tech to get better, sure, more efficient, but you know, for now, this is what we're going to have to deal with, right? Now, I've just spoken about intensive games on the handheld, but that's not all I had to say about that. There's another downside to the Steam Deck, and it's the performance. A good handful of games will perform great on Steam Deck, don't get me wrong. This, of course, changes when you start playing bigger games. You find yourself playing on lower settings. The image is not as sharp. It's actually kind of blurry. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes 60 frames just isn't possible for you. It's the same story with the Nintendo Switch, comparing that to the other consoles. The thing about both the Switch and the Steam Deck is that they're part of this growing market of handheld gaming where we're trying to figure out what is most efficient and can really bring out like the best experience for everybody. So, you know, this may not be a problem like later on, but right now, yeah. But that's going to change with Nintendo, possibly. So we're coming back to Nintendo. I said earlier that if you wait a bit, you may want something that isn't a Nintendo Switch. Maybe not even like the Steam Deck. In January, Nintendo finally revealed the first official look at the Nintendo Switch 2. We are set to get more information about the console and everything relating to it in their April Nintendo Direct. The big things to look out for during this are the specs, the hardware, and the pricing. The battery too, but I'm not going to really focus in on that one right now. And the reason for that is that if the Nintendo Switch 2 shows specs comparable to the Steam Deck, if not better, at a price equal to or less than the Steam Deck, I might even say that at that point you should just get the Switch 2. There's already a bit of a competition between the Switch and the Steam Deck. Which one should you get? But the Switch 2 has that opportunity to turn things around in Nintendo's favor. See, the Switch is already like of a smaller form factor, making it much more appealing for portability. It also has a kickstand, detachable Joy-Cons, and a dock right out of the box, which allows you to just have multiple ways to play your games, even with a second person. Meanwhile, Steam Deck is just meant for solo handheld gaming, which is that's not a bad thing, but that there is a difference. Talking about the game catalog on both fronts, Steam certainly has a ton of games available to play, but not everything in their library is built for the Steam Deck in mind. The verification process they have is super nice, and more titles are being catered towards the handheld, but as we've spoken before, games are getting bigger, so we may already hit a wall, just as we are with the OG Nintendo Switch. As far as the overall experience, the Nintendo Switch 2 has that potential to give us more mileage. This of course depends on like the specs to be revealed later, and you know, if older games get this performance boost, that's not confirmed, but I'm just putting the energy out there. Regardless, almost every Switch 1 game will be available to play on the new console, including their classic games from the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. So the Switch 2 will have more games at launch, besides, you know, maybe like a handful of Switch 2 exclusive like in year one. Then in the future, there will be the first party games really focused in on like the Switch 2. So developers will be focusing on optimizing solely on the hardware. And who knows, that could be kind of crazy. I don't even know what to expect for that. There's also the argument for physical versus digital media, but I'm not going to talk about that. It's a whole can of worms. We're not going to. Anyway, with my thoughts about whether you should get a Steam Deck have like shifted a bit, I think in years past, I would have definitely recommended it for sure, even over like other PC handhelds that I've experienced, which is really just the ROG Ally, but I digress. But with 2025, specifically with the Nintendo Switch 2 dropping this year, it's kind of difficult for me to say in full confidence that you should just simply go for the Steam Deck at this point, because, you know, that new console was going to be the biggest competitor for the Steam handheld. I will say though, if you absolutely have no interest in Nintendo first party, their classic games, or even as a whole, Steam Deck is a solid choice. Now, on the other hand, if you are interested in the Switch 2, you can check out our video about why the name was actually a pretty smart choice on Nintendo's part. Thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if it helped, subscribe to Tanuki Media, and we'll see you guys next time.